Buddha the Basin here. Happy Sunday to you. The chakras as spherical iron oxide macromolecules running along the central axis. The Sushumna. The work of Dr. Esther Del Rio, Unpacked. I wrote this July 7th, 2025. When you think of Ferris Bueller, you think of someone with a magnetic personality, someone who was unhindered and open, whose mind was racing with big ideas and had perfect confidence that he was a perfect miniaturization of the universe. It never occurred to me that he was named that way. Ferris means a man of strength or an iron mind. Of course, our strength comes from the iron in our blood. Iron also combines with oxygen to form iron oxide, and in this form, iron oxide forms into either spherical or tetrahedral macromolecules. The spherical macromolecules were then observed using X-rays to be primarily found along the spinal column nearest the primary glands, from the pineal to the pituitary to the thyroid, thymus, pancreas, ovaries, and testes. The 7 spinning spherical iron oxide macromolecules indeed serve as 7 seals, according to Dr. Del Rio. They help to protect the body as well as to conduct information and electricity throughout the body. To be sure, the 7 spinning circles of Hindu folklore and yogic science became a primary focus for me around 2005 when I first moved to Austin, Texas. I had read about them before, though, perhaps in 2003 when I read a book called Chakra Healing. To be a bit more revealing, LSD had opened up my consciousness at 16, and at 21, ecstasy had temporarily blasted my consciousness into fourth density awareness. I could not stop speaking in rhymes. In short, I had a real Kundalini experience with no way to prepare myself for how to re-enter third density life. And of course, I have struggled ever since. I must thank Saint Germain and my guides for never giving up on me. Even back then, I knew somehow that the Kundalini synergistically aligned or resonated or perhaps fueled these 7 chakras. And to be fair, I was warned that the coiled serpent was something dangerous, an awesome, something like the Old Testament God. So awesome, but also so deadly and destined not to be trifled with. Now, thanks to this new conception put forth by Dr. Esther Del Rio and Dr. Dan Winter, physicists, and many others, I could see that the Kundalini is not much different from a Tesla coil. The DNA uses magnetic scalar waves as an energy source. Theoretically, it is the motion of the electrons that creates the magnetic scalar wave. We will explain. When electrons move within the DNA's double helix, they create a magnetic field perpendicular to the plane of the ring-like structure of the DNA. If the direction of the electron movement changes, an alternating magnetic field is produced. This alternating magnetic field is associated with the vortex field, the swirling pattern of magnetic field lines. The motion of this field along the direction of the magnetic field line is what creates the magnetic scalar wave, a type of longitudinal wave. This theory suggests that these magnetic scalar waves generated by DNA can facilitate cell-to-cell communication by carrying the information encoded within the wave. So it is best to give Dr. Constantine Neal this credit. We will let Dr. Neal speak for himself. Well, it is unfortunate that if you look at the Substack, Ferris Bueller and Chakras, go back to the original post on Substack, you'll see the quotes from Dr. But I didn't get that in my short notes. So it has taken a good 22 years of thinking about this and getting lucky, as my son Roger said. It is just amazing that DNA is basically transcribing this information and rewriting it, so to speak, at the speed of light. It just seems that when we're talking about the structure thymus and the benzene ring. These benzene rings truly help us unlock our understanding of consciousness. In fact, they help us solve the hard problem of consciousness by proving that consciousness or wakefulness truly resides in the quantum processes and quantum entanglement occurring within the liquid crystal EZ water of the microtubules from the fifth layer to the pyramidal neurons of the cerebral cortex. But I digress. The bottom line here is that these benzene rings are evolved, are essentially utilized by anesthesia. So the anesthesiologist, Dr. Stuart Cameron, has got a good understanding of how the benzene rings, the amino acids, these microtubules all kind of work to promote consciousness or the thought. So here's a Google summary of how Dr. Stuart Cameron and Sir Roger Penrose's ORCH theory used the benzene rings in the aromatic acids of the microtubules. So Stuart Cameron connects benzene rings, particularly the aromatic amino acids within microtubules, to consciousness through the lens of his and Roger Penrose's ORCH. It's for orchestrated objective reduction theory. So ORCH. He proposes that these rings exist in quantum superposition of dipole orientations, acting as qubits in a quantum computing system within the brain. This quantum activity, particularly involving tubule and subunits of microtubule, is theorized to be the basis of consciousness. So the OR theory of orchestrated objective reduction suggests that consciousness arises from the quantum superpositions within microtubules. Microtubules found in the cell's cytoskeleton contain aromatic amino acids like tryptophan, phenylalanine, and tyrosine, which have benzene rings. These benzene rings, through their pi-electron type, will exhibit quantum superposition, existing in multiple states of space. Hameroff suggests that these oscillating benzene rings, due to their quantum properties, can act as qubits, the fundamental units of quantum computation. The theory posits that this quantum activity within microtubules offers a deeper explanation of consciousness than traditional neural models, especially regarding qualia and subjective experience. OR proposes that quantum processes in microtubules are scale invariant, meaning they operate at different levels within the brain, influencing both microscopic and macroscopic activity related to consciousness. Indeed, this electronically conducted by DNA through quantum tunnels that we simply can't see with the naked eye or instrumentation. It further seems that protons can be spin aligned with other protons in distinct areas of the brain. This sort of quantum entanglement is correlated with short-term memory tasks. This is the Trans-University Network study. In other words, it takes quantum entanglement from spin-aligned protons that are held in alignment by the quantum processes of microtubules within the pyramidal neurons to generate consciousness. Okay. Referring to Mr. Constantinos-Neal's conclusions, Neal's conclusions suggest electromagnetic field dynamics are powerful terms that part and parcel of how cells communicate. And interestingly, these same dynamics are at play within the larger communication of humans and other humans. It is our larger energy field that others can observe. If the cell can be connected to other cells electromagnetically, these occur through resonance. Neal is correct. It is not wrong about it. He said Neal is correct upon authors like Dr. Hubert Shelton, whose notion of morphic fields and morphic resonance clearly resonates here. Barbara Brennan's school and her books, Light Emerging, Hands of Light, immediately come to view now, and her notion of the whole seems to be seem to be seen. It is this line, this power line, that seems to go into our stomach, where often gets messed up in the third chakra zone from a power imbalance encounter with other human beings. So power line goes from above our head, this high deep point, which the soul descends through the continent, or some spot at the top of the head, to some goes right there in the pineal. Of course, the other piece of it, according to Drenvada, is that you have your first 8 cells that reside in the perineum. He argues that the first 8 cells. So somehow the connection between those first 8 cells of the perineum and the core must be reconnected back to the perineum. This is through foster the connection between the perineum and the heart, of the pericardial sac around the heart, and the tongue. These 3 parts of the body, these 3 fascia, these tissues, are all one and the same. They all derive from the same tissue. They're part of the deep frontal fascia network. And when you connect the tongue to the top of your roof, the roof of your mouth, you can create piezoelectric waves between the pineal, the tongue, heart, and the perineum. This works as what's called the section channel. And Qigong is the descending tissue from the frontal body to be surrendered. So, once you get this level of Qigong, the macromolecules is where it descends down the outside of the body. Grounding is cheating. There's also this power line that goes, like a laser line that goes to the root. The goal is to connect your fourth density astral body of that core field to this power line. You can gain absolute awareness of your intentionality. And you gain good control of your intentionality. You can also become self-conscious at this point, because this fifth density power line is truly beyond space and time, without local insights, intuition, thought application, relevance. But for most people, the third chakra is somewhat limited. This power line has been bent or disconnected. It follows the Sushumna, the central channel, down through the body, with the spinal cord on the back, and spherical iron oxide macromolecules of chakra serving as seals to the information either allowed to pass through these sealed vortexes, enter the body, or they're not allowed to. Once you unlock the seals with a sense of pleasure and warmth between the little Tesla coil of DNA golden mean propagation, you'll feel good. Because our fields are not the same. Our fields vary with age. You know, babies have these beautiful electromagnetic energy fields. You see the joy, you feel them, you feel their feelings radiate out like belly laughter. The Harvard basically says that bioplasma or whoosh or organ in the chi actually gets trapped in our human being. Transmission of information about the core kundalini state, the base of the spine. So, our chi energy, like this essence, gets stuck. Now, it becomes untethered and ultimately disconnected from our body. The body is connected in this free energy that is related to our electromagnetic body. It does seem like these 7 chakras of iron oxide can get phase locked, and it takes alkalinity and sometimes psychedelics to reopen, or the endorphin/endocannabinoid system to rebuild. Honestly, in moving back from the microstructure of DNA to the larger structure of a human being, the best place to begin to unpack the notion of the 7 chakras being iron oxide macromolecules is with the discovery of magnetite in the brains of animals and humans. This discovery was made around 1989, or I should say, this discovery was formally agreed upon in 1989. In '89, a paper by Kirschvik titled "Magnetite Biomineralization and Geomagnetic Sensitivity in Higher Animals: An Update and Recommendations for Future Study" suggested in his is ongoing research during this year. This Google's update for you, so Google, isn't very clear, but the point is, the paper in '89, the Kirschfink paper titled Biomagnetite, sorry, if you could call it biomagnetite, it's magnetite biomineralization and geomagnetic sensitivity. In other words, it's the magnetite crystals inside of us that give us a greater sensitivity to Earth electromagnetic energy field. It's how butterflies remember, they have a memory how to get back to Mexico. These monarch butterflies that go from Texas down to Mexico. Or how, birds travel, how even how fish travel in schools, they have this electromagnetic sensitivity to each other based upon the magnetism. And we have this too, that all attuned to Earth's magnetic field. We know cows either align northerly with the northern pole or southerly with the southern pole of the field. Unless there's power lines, like profoundly impactful power lines that disrupt their magnetite. So indeed, magnetite crystals as a mechanism of action, organized in chain, could align Earth's magnetic field, potentially aligning with nerve cells to form the basis of a magnetic field. So Kirschfink and colleagues found magnetite in the human brain. So a simple cursory search about magnetite will yield you results related to the fact that magnetite is, quote, a universal membrane molecule. Now, as far as why, it goes back to water, electricity, and light. So this H2O 37, like this giant macromolecule of water, is the form of water Dr. Del Rio says, based upon the early work of Dr. Wilson Collins, allows water to become a liquid crystal biocomputer. It is mesomorphic in that its crystalline form is altering itself between dodecahedral and icosahedral symmetries 10 trillion times a second per second. This liquid crystal is conducting information and energy. This is water, folks. When this electrical energy and information comes into contact with the iron macromolecules, electromagnetic fields help to align this energy as it passes up the sun. We know from Dr. Del Rio that the DNA itself is really an entropy-reducing design, like a brick implant, and it uses this hexagonal torus form to collapse itself into a spiral vortex of energy. Indeed, the spiraling vortex of energy through the hexagonal plasma torus is the quintessential image of the universe. With the living hotel above is so below, the electromagnetic field still lasts, as well as protects the body from the seven primary glands and the energy field. A network composed of magnetic microfields has received the X-ray machine modified with electromagnets. They will see the body full of fluorescent and wavy lights with abundant magnetite bits. Well, these magnetite bits are what the most reflecting glands matching the body type where the existence of chakras have been suggested. In conclusion, each chakra consists of thousands of ferric magnetites forming true spheres. It is important to mention that these areas are the places where the most important glands in the body are, and also consistent with what has been expressed in books about the chakras. Such energy centers are 7, and are located on the sex organs, adrenal, between the liver and pancreas, thymus, thyroid, pineal, and pituitary. Hence, we can deduce that this magnetic order protects the biochemical order through the liquid crystal of the chakras and glands. So, water is indeed the key. The proposal of water as a liquid crystal in the tissue structure of this H2O 37 macromolecule, as Rio points out, is enough to satisfy the transmission of both electric and electromagnetic data, internally and externally, with every living organism. This possibility was confirmed during a second investigation. She discovered a Ferris Bueller network made of macromolecules of Ferris Bueller ions in the crystalline form of tetrahedral glands working intermittently due to electromagnetic difference. Both the liquid crystals as Ferris Bueller and the network information system, where each iron macromolecule functions as a magnetic liquid crystal surrounded by microcellular water and other alkaline and metalloid elements. So yes, it is water as a metamolecule that can exist non-locally in superposition, or at least the protons in its hydrogen bond, the low tetrahedrals within the larger classic fabric tapestry, dodecahedron and icosahedron all together phi, phi, and the golden ratio. This is what we're talking about. The superposition of these protons are spin equivalent, equilibrated. They have their spins are phase locked. It's the quantum improvement of the spins of the protons in the microtubule in this liquid crystal water, electromagnetically keeping us locked into this current of electricity running up our back and then down the front. This is the microcosmic orbit. And then the larger orbit is the macrocosm, taking it all the way to deep space. Now, it is in getting back to consciousness. It is implosion dynamics that create consciousness. That's what OR means. Orchestrated objective reduction. It's the implosion. And this same quantum implosion will send consciousness out of the body at will. All this requires us to equilibrate the state potential of these seven tubules of iron oxide to allow the integration to channel up the sun, which is the will axis of the governing center of the body. The crystal power staying in the brain with the pineal, the pituitary, and the thymus, the hypothalamus, brings back on the center of the body. This Tai Chi understanding and Qigong understanding is critical to coming into contact with the living crystal level, the cerebrospinal fluid, and the magnetized supercritical nature of the chakras, as well as the nature of the pure electron that is channeled between DNA cells as the living field. So, to be sure, we must keep ourselves in real with the cosmos, electrons, and beams that being shared across these spaces, it would easily be exported to quantum time, which is simply one the new color shows you this program. Sadly, returning to Japanese study of sleep, our students most of the individual and writer and more trust. Lee's study that suggests the tubular and light transparency and the amount of light shining through the field decreased with age and apparent negative correlation. Overall quality of the field was not known, which indicated that the overall quality of the field tended to evolve as dynamic. It's less dynamic, but the two-year-old is still less than the two-year-old. So even by the time we were 4 years old, our electromagnetic field is now from all the way the cycle, the flow of this. You can talk to program, you disconnect it. So for us to change it, you have to practice the driver. Jesus, and then you realize that so for us to change it, we have to acknowledge it. We have to see it to believe it. Then we have to allow it to feel the second. We need to realize that feeling of it is unlocking energy and allow the all coming flow to allow the coming I will conclude my discussion by sharing my idea of seems like our worldview is very distorted by reputation. Uses the field and the external sensory information through fire. So the left hemisphere of the brain is that give you an awareness of your body. So it will rise in the session. You get in the session, so you have those networks, you have the mindless chatter, you have obviously the activities of your worries, anxiety, the different ways to get there. So you go to the cortisol release and the desire for living, more likely to convicted. I agree that argue that this discussion leads to a left hemisphere Similarly, more of the theory of mind. On the other side, you have broadly various 36 to 39 at the analogous temporal plateau junction. When you get the metaphors you live on, so you have to look through your left eye and breathe through your left eye. Your awareness goes to the first side of the brain. It has somatosensory awareness of the body. So the various broadly various temporal. As you continue to breathe more efficiently, you begin to get a more holistic sense of what you're doing. Areas, movements. So I argue that you stay on the default with the density to the left muscular, the right muscular, the then bonus is to begin the process of awakening. You can play with advantage rather than the deeper feelings and the intuitive, holistic understanding of the self itself. In other words, if we disconnect ourselves from a larger self, it's what parallel out of the spirit, allowing the heart to be so right from the spirit to help us become the source for the medical spirit. Of course, the thing about the Ferris Bueller, as he does for cancer, Ferris is a man full of confidence. He believes exactly who he is. He's confident. He realizes cancer. He feels he reconnects to him. His power pushes through. He still reflects his chakra. And he deals with the adversity. He deals with that power and him and his father. Ferris is confident in his personality, as we know. He does the whole Chicago show. Shake it up, baby now. With the child. It's a perfect leader expression of this community and the chakra that open and up and alive. He's in safe, he's confident. He's a matter of or or you, you.
Bright strings under moonlight glow, finger pick patterns soft and slow. Hammer on echoes in humid air, late breeze tangles in my hair. Beautiful cypress, you are my guide, rooted deep in the dark, still water beside. Reflections ripple, stretching endlessly, whispering stories of quiet infinity. Ancient magic rising inside of me, bringing my heartbeat to gentle harmony. Marry the river, make the two one again. Life in the currents, watch the spiral spin. Beautiful cypress, earth and the water one. Mist slowly lifting, gold from the rising sun. Yeah, freestyle sitting in Lake Morgan there, watching the heron sing over the glare, watching the clock jump high in the air, laughing and living like I never cared. Cypress Isis standing tall by the shore, knees in the water like roots to the core. Spanish moss curtains sway everywhere, ancient protector just keeping me there. 808s humming like a distant storm, finger pick patterns keep my spirit warm. Dragonflies tracing halos in the sky, ripples around in every thought that slides by. Freestyle verses float with every wave, secrets of stillness in the calm you gave. Lake Morgan breathing while the sun sets low. Cypress and Isis, let the whole world glow. La da da da, guitar line drifts in slow